What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another discussion video where we're going to be talking about Mr. Zhuge Liang himself, the dragon, the sleeping dragon, one of the most iconic characters from this game and novel, credited with, in my opinion, creating the Three Kingdoms period, all of that good stuff. He's the mastermind behind it. We're talking about him today because I want to talk about what do we really feel about Zhuge Liang here. As I was doing research into another video, I'm creating a top 10 strategist video, and it's a very hard video to make because it's hard to compare different feats and trying to rank them, and I'm going to do my best with that video. But of course, stumbling upon Zhuge Liang, I'm coming across a lot of contradictory information. So I have information that says he did this, he was great, and then I have other information that says, well, it was kind of great, but it wasn't as great as you think. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Pretty much, is Zhuge Liang overhyped or overrated in a sense? Is he put in a situation in the novel or the games to the point where it's almost, it's not real? And I've done videos before with the Shu and Zhang Fei, and you know, the history and the games are completely different, but for Zhuge Liang, is it this way for him because he, I don't know, planned it out to be? I'll read something from, and if you guys want to check it out yourself, the sources will be down below of what I'm mainly referencing, but I've done a lot of other research around both of the good and the bad side. From the quote-unquote bad side, Zhuge Liang, this guy wrote that the sources of Shu and Zhuge's history comes from his writing in a 24-scroll tome. In the writing that he claims that Shu didn't have a history department as compared to Wei and Wu. So the source that Chen Shou used for most of Shu's history was these writings done by Zhuge Liang himself. And if you look at the content, it's very clear that this was all written from his perspective. It was all about his orders, his plans, his theories, and he's making the claim that it's not surprising that Shu's history is very Zhuge-centric, which is why I guess he is the way that he is in the novel, and of course the games. Now for that post that I'm referencing at the top of the post, if you do read it, you'll see that the guy said that he wrote it a long time ago, and in more of a modern sense now, he doesn't necessarily agree with everything that he wrote, but it's still a little interesting to dive into. And how truthful, I mean, where is the truth for Zhuge Liang? Towards the end of the video, I'll give you my own opinion on it, and then we'll go from there. But starting off with, we're going to skip right down to Chibi and go from there. So Chibi, we're going to talk about Chibi, the Southern Campaign, and then of course his 5 Northern campaigns, and then a little bit about Zhuge Liang, and then that'll be it. So starting off with Chibi. So Chibi was obviously, there's some fictional elements in the, you know, the wind being blown, and like Zhuge Liang pushing for the attack back. He didn't really have a lot of influence on whether or not Wu was going to go to war. It was mainly Zhou Yu and Lu Su's doing. Both the quote-unquote good and bad side agree that he didn't really do much to convince them. He was kind of just there like, yeah, it would be a good idea. But of course the wind thing didn't happen. I think the arrow thing where he gathered a bunch of arrows, I think that actually did happen, and I think that was the one notable thing about what Zhuge Liang did for Chibi, but that was pretty much it. Moving down to, I guess we'll do Yi province first. When Liu Bei went to go capture Hanzhong, right? Fa Zheng was alive, he went with, you know, they went to go do their thing. Zhuge Liang was put in charge of the affairs of the state, and both of, again, the good and the bad side agree on this one. Zhuge Liang, he stabilized the country, harmonized the court, improved the lives of the people. He was very good at being an administrator, absolutely excellent when it came to being a statesman, which we'll talk about a little later. Then moving into the Nanman campaign, the Southern campaign. I'll start off with saying that both sides agree that the campaign was successful, but the good side said that he led the armies successfully, defeating Gao Ding Yuan and Meng Huo, and the choices of his personnel and Li Hui and Ma Zhang is what led to that. I think both sides can agree that Zhuge Liang, and I agree too, that Zhuge Liang was great at management, people management, civil administration, economics. I mean, he was great at managing and putting things in place in order to keep things running smoothly. Now, with the Southern campaign on the bad side, so the problem for Zhuge Liang, the main problem for him was a guy named Yong Kai, but he was the one that rebelled and caused a lot of the problems for Zhuge Liang. And the reason that the bad side does not like the attribution to Zhuge Liang, you know, having a big success in the Southern campaign is because they claim that he got very lucky. So Gao Ding Yuan, instead of Zhuge Liang successfully defeating him, what Gao Ding Yuan did is that he was so nervous about what Zhuge Liang was going to do, so maybe Zhuge Liang had a play in that, right? He was so nervous and feared for the incoming loss that he murdered Yong Kai and surrendered. Meng Huo, who was still there, tried to keep the rebellion troops under control, but he couldn't. And while he was trying to do that, Zhuge Liang comes in and absolutely demolishes Meng Huo each and every time. And it's attributed, on the bad side, it's attributed to luck. People on that side would say that it was his first and last real military success, and even calling it one is a bit of a stretch because of the luck that he provided. Now, maybe the intimidation of the character is what led Gao Dingyuan to doing that. There's a contradictory piece right there. Gao Dingyuan was defeated by Zhuge Liang, but on this other side, Yang Kai is the main reason that he couldn't get through the rebels, but Gao Dingyuan killed him and then surrendered. So who's to say which is true? I don't know. But moving on to the first campaign. Good side. They say it was an effective surprise attack catching Wei off guard. The only reason that they kind of fell apart was because the choice in Ma Su leading the vanguard was a terrible choice. And that's what led to the defeat of the first campaign. In the other side, the bad side, they say that Zhuge Liang made a complete blunder of this. The forces of Zhao Yun and Deng Zhi were sent up, I think on the western side, like around the other wing, but they were completely demolished by Cao Zhen. And then of course the unit being led by Ma Su was also destroyed by Zhang He, forcing Zhuge to retreat. So the good side, at least from that main source, and a lot of the sources I've seen, they don't mention that. Zhao Yun and Deng Zhi being completely routed by Cao Zhen. The Ma Su thing is the thing that I think overshadows it, because it's in the games and everything like that. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. Second campaign, which is the Battle of Cheongsong. The good side says they both agreed that it was a failure, but the attack at Cheongsong was kind of a failure, but a victory because they killed somebody named Wang Shuang. And Wang Shuang was a terror, at least from what I read for him in the novel. He was a terror to the Shu forces at that time. So in the retreat, they ended up killing this guy, and it ended up being, even though it was a failure, it was also a wild success as well. On the bad side, however, again, contradictory to it, Zhuge Liang had over 10,000 troops to attack Cheongsong. So Zhuge Liang had the advantage. He had another surprise. Like, they were preparing for him, but they didn't expect him to attack so soon. So Hao Zhao only had like 1,000 troops to Zhuge Liang's 10,000. Instead of it just being a failure, they deem it to be a humiliating loss for Shu. Hao Zhao was one of the bravest people in the Three Kingdoms period, according to what I've read. And he was actually Zhang Liao's second in command from the Battle of Hefei. He was part of the 800 unit of volunteers that went to go and like kill Sun Quan. Like, he killed, I think Hao Zhao was the one that killed Chen Wu, and Chen Wu was the leader of Sun Quan's bodyguard. So this dude was not somebody you just want to underestimate. Anything that Zhuge Liang threw at Hao Zhao, he destroyed. Siege weapons, ladders, tunnels. I mean, everything was absolutely just burnt and destroyed by Hao Zhao. Completely countered everything he threw at them. And then, according to what this person wrote, 20 days later, Zhuge Liang ended up retreating because he ran out of supplies, which is a weird thing to blame it on. If Zhuge Liang was, because there are claims that he is too arrogant. If he was too arrogant to admit to the fact that he was outsmarted by Hao Zhao or just outclassed, whatever it may be, and instead blame it on the supplies, then that's not really a good look. Or there's the other thing that if he's being truthful, then why would you only bring supplies for 20 days? Did you think it was going to be that easy to just, he might have thought it was just going to be easy to mull him over with a 10-to-1 ratio, but that was not the case. And then going back to Wang Shuang on this side, the bad side claims that Wang Shuang wasn't that impressive. In the novel, he's just another inflated Hua Xiang, but he was nothing more than just a regular officer. Again, more discrepancies. Moving into the third campaign, it was a mild success. The good side would say it's a big success because they attained the regions of Wudu and Yinping after they defeated Gu Huai. But on the bad side, the discrepancy comes in that they attained those cities, but they were desolate. Like, there was nothing that they gained from those cities that was of merit. The resources were drained. There was nothing of infrastructure built there. It was just a wasteland, pretty much. So they provided no value to that. Maybe Zhuge Liang outsmarted him because while they were going for these two commanderies, Zhuge Liang was trying to go around and hit a more vital city, which Gu Huai predicted, or he caught on to, and he left. So he retreated, which looks like a victory. Like, you're going to spend time protecting the more precious city versus an area that's not of value to you, because another bit of a little bit of a discrepancy there. Moving into the fourth campaign, this is the best one, according to the good side. He overcame Sima Yi multiple times, defeated Gu Huai, successfully ambushed and killed Zhang He as a result of Zhuge Liang's own ambush, and the only reason that the fourth campaign didn't continue any longer was because of Li Yan. He was unable to get them supplies, so Zhuge Liang once again ran out of supplies and had to retreat. Now, on the other side, so again, it's hard to say. I'll give my answer at the end. Fourth campaign on the bad side. So they said the complete opposite. Sima Yi smeared the walls with Zhuge Liang. I absolutely blew him out the water. So Zhuge Liang went to go secure wheat for his army, and Sima Yi approached him, like the troops that were harvesting the wheat, at a double march speed, where he gets notified of it and they actually retreat. And then Sima Yi is quoted to have said, according to what the person wrote, that a good commander would have attacked after their enemy finished a double march because they were exhausted. But he was quoted to have said he is just too easy to handle. Zhuge retreats back to a place called Hanyang, where he sets up defenses, ready to attack the encroaching Wei army. Sima Yi was able to easily press through his defenses, causing him to retreat once again. And again, as Zhuge Liang was retreating, Zheng He was pursuing him and ended up being struck in the knee by an arrow. The argument that the bad, quote-unquote, bad side makes is that the troop difference, so Zhuge Liang lost 10,000 troops, captured or killed over 10,000 troops, and Zheng He was killed in the process. Yeah, Zheng He was a great general of the time and a very big loss to Wei, but Zhuge Liang lost over 10,000 of his troops. This side is making the argument that saying that this was a success is similar to saying that when Huangzu killed Sun Jian, he's a great person because he got lucky. He got hit with an ambush, he gets unluckily hit by, I believe, an arrow and gets killed. Right? Huangzu, we don't care about Huangzu, bro. Nobody care about Huangzu. But because of Zhuge Liang, people are saying that it was an amazing, like it was his best campaign because they got Zheng He. But what was the cost? They lost 10,000 troops. That's a lot of people for one general. And then going back to Li Yan, the good side would say that Li Yan was the person at fault here. But Li Yan couldn't get the supplies to the army because of a downpour of rain. A little bit of controversy comes in with the inventions that Zhuge Liang had, or at least according to what this guy wrote. So wooden ox was something that's very popular with Zhuge Liang, but the way that they were described, it was described similarly to be something that looked like a wheelbarrow. So because of a heavy downpour of rain, you're not going to be able to transport anything with those things through the heavy rain. So Liang was just unable to do that because of that. It wasn't his fault, it was just Mother Nature. Anyway, last and final campaign, fifth campaign, both sides agree that Zhuge Liang absolutely prepared everything for a long, drawn-out battle. They both agree the soldiers that Zhuge Liang had, they put them to work in the field in order to harvest food for their forces for a long, drawn-out battle. So on the good side, they say that yes, he was pushed back by Guo Huai. Guo Huai pushed him back a little bit, but even after Zhuge Liang had died, Sima Yi was very assured that it was another ploy by Zhuge Liang. On the bad side, we have a little difference here, and this article actually references the taunts that a lot of the games go into. Zhuge Liang tried to lure out Sima Yi by using taunts, but it ended up failing. Sima Yi was just, again, waiting for his supplies to run out. And then eventually something happened that nobody predicted. His health was taking a turn for the worse, and then he made plans with his subordinates. So this is a little, I guess we can go right into it because this is the last battle he's a part of. His health was taking a turn for the worst. He made plans with his subordinates, and they excluded Wei Yan, saying to leave him behind to be killed by Wei if he objected to his plans after his death, which ended up happening, which is crazy. There is a clear disdain for Wei Yan, and one of the things that the good side would say, and you know, I'm not gonna say I disagree with, but that Zhuge Liang was great in terms of morality, and apparently he was so, I can't think of another word, but he was so benevolent that he promoted people who were unlikable to him. So with Wei Yan, that is not the case. And there's another character, Liu Bei's son, Liu Feng, who was killed because of Zhuge Liang's doing. This is back towards the Fan Castle era. He was with Meng Da. Meng Da ended up rebelling and leaving and going to Wei because he wasn't able to get supplies to go on you, and Liu Bei took that to be, he was very upset about that. Liu Feng didn't like Meng Da, so Meng Da left. He took his troops and went to Wei, and then he tried to get Liu Feng to come over and join him, but Liu Feng refused. He got back to Liu Bei, told him what happened, and Liu Bei was extremely upset. Zhuge Liang said that because Liu Bei is upset with him, if he continues to feel that and potentially revolts and leaves as well, he's going to be a problem later on, so you should have him killed, pretty much. It didn't make any sense because if Liu Feng was really intent on revolting, he would have done it when Meng Da asked him to come over. So Zhuge Liang pushing this death of his adopted son just didn't seem like the most moral thing to do as a person. It's a little bit of a gray area there. Again, going into the statesman thing that Zhuge Liang was he was very, very good at. He improved the lives of the local population, and both sides would agree he was very, very good at that. However, the good side, and I think the bad side also says it too, but the good side says he was a staunch legalist. So he enforced the law with a lot of severity. No crime was left unpunished. But I remember when I was doing research for Fa Zheng, I remember reading Zhuge Liang would turn a blind eye to Fa Zheng doing mean things, very evil things. So him being heralded as a, staunch legalist, no crime left unpunished, man of the people, yes, he does have those moments, but it doesn't take away from those other moments of Fa Zheng. There's a lot for Zhuge Liang here. It's a lot of contradictory information. My thoughts on the character, I love him in the games. I think he's a great character. When I play Dynasty Warriors, it's completely separate from history. I don't think about the history. I think about who they're presented to me, who I've been presented with for the last 20 years. Like also during this, the post where he's kind of ragging on him, he hates that a lot of the characters in the game are so inferior to Zhuge Liang. But I don't mind that. I think it provides a good dynamic for certain characters, and if built a certain way, leads in some pretty fun moments. So for me, in the games, Zhuge Liang is great. I don't think there's anything wrong with him. But in terms of a historical standpoint, I think he's on par with some of the other strategists. Like him, Sima Yi, Guo Jia, Zhou Yu, even like Xun Yu. I think he's not as ahead of everybody else as the games make him out to be. The only reason that he is, or I could be wrong, I don't know about the only reason, but one of the reasons, at least that what I've read from that, from the bad side, was that Shu didn't have a history department. Wei and Wu did, apparently. All of their history came from what Zhuge wrote about Shu, and I guess his own personal stories and perspectives on how the things were going. So that's really all they had for Shu. And then of course, with the author of the novel being a Shu fan, that's kind of what was adopted. And there was this other person that was mentioned that I have not done a lot of research on, but it was mentioned, this guy named I don't know how to pronounce it. Zhuo Shi? Anyway, he was an Eastern Jin official. He was an historian who fictionalized a lot of Zhuge's feats to make Zhuge look good. Any stories that he could justify his positions, he did so. Zhuge Liang in the games is great, and I hope they never change him. And in history, I think he was good too. He has his dark moments, but so does most of the characters. It's just really interesting to contemplate how some people were, and with the conflicting information, because when they don't like Zhuge Liang, the information is similar. When they do like Zhuge Liang, the information is also similar. So which side is true? I'm sure both of them have merit. Okay. Anyway, guys, this might have been a lot longer than my normal discussion videos, but there's a lot of information. Zhuge Liang has a lot of information. You can spend days researching this character because there's so much information on him. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, definitely appreciate a like, comment, or subscribe. Let me know what you think about Zhuge Liang down below. What do you guys know? If you do know something that is 100%, I mean, it's hard to say if it's 100% true, but it is true, like super, like whatever, give me the source, let me go read it. I would love to. Anything to get more information on these characters is always a good thing for me. But yeah, that's all I have, guys, and I will see you all in the next video.